A couple of quick talent updates. Ricky Starks, who has not appeared on AEW television in almost 3 months, I guess he must have gotten lost on his way to the arena. He gave an interview to What Culture and said that he has no idea why he has not been used on TV. And he was hopeful. I don't know, when did he give this interview? This had to be at least a week ago. But he said at the time he was hopeful that he would be part of Double or Nothing, which is next weekend. I mean, we're a week out. That does not seem very likely at this point. He said, I would hope so, but I really don't know. Every time I always predict something to go some way, it doesn't go that way. I really have no clue. I wish that I was on Dynamite, or I wish that I was on Dynasty. I wish that I was on these things, but I think at a certain point, just for my own sanity, I can't go too crazy about it because the proof is in my work and in my effort that I have constantly given. And when asked about speculation that an injury is what has kept him off of TV, he made it very clear he is not hurt. He said, I'm not hurt. Even that night, which would have been the last match that he had, it was him and Big Bill against Top Flight, and it looked like he might have gotten hurt, and they went to the finish early in that match. He said, I specifically stated, hey, I am not hurt. I was just being cautious about it because at the moment, I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't hurt, and I was never put on any injury list or anything like that. I have no answers. People ask me all the time. I don't know. I have no clue. That isn't up to me. It does suck, obviously, not to be on TV, but the support from people online and people who send me messages is very, very sweet and endearing and very encouraging. The reason that Ricky Starks is not on AEW television right now is probably because Tony Khan knows he's gone the minute his contract is up. And he was asked in that same interview what his contract status was, how much time he's got left on his deal, and he didn't want to talk about it. He wants to keep that private. So whether his deal is up in a month or in a year, when that day comes, I think, and Tony Khan probably thinks, that Ricky is as good as gone. And so he may be thinking, why push this guy? Why give this guy television time if he knows he's got one foot out the door, right? And again, that's just my opinion. Ricky did not divulge how much time he has left on his deal. What it does tell me, though, if Tony Khan is keeping him off television intentionally, that tells me that his deal may be up sooner than later. Because if Ricky Starks had, I feel like even 6 months, let alone a year, left on his deal, I don't think that Tony Khan would bench him for an entire year. I think he would be, even if just to put other people over, I feel like he would be using him on TV. And if Ricky has no idea why, and he's been kept off TV now for, I mean, when was that match with Top Flight? I think it was the beginning of March. So, we're going on 2.5 months now. That tells me that his contract may be up soon. And if he knows that there's a pretty good chance he may be on his way out, he may not want to give him television time. Why push the guy? Look, I don't blame him. He's 35, and I'm talking Ricky now as far as if he wants to leave. I don't blame him. He's 34 years old. It's not like MJF, who's only 28. If MJF waits another contract cycle, I have no doubt in my own mind that he's probably signed for another 3 years or so with AEW, maybe 3 or 4 years. Let's say that's the case. All right. MJF is going to be locked in for a while. 3 or 4 years from now, he's only 28 years old right now. He's still going to be a young guy. Ricky is a young guy also, but he's not 28 young. So at this point, he's got more to gain than to lose, I think, if he leaves. I'm sure WWE would be interested, even if he started with an NXT run. I could see him as NXT champion for a while before getting a run on the main roster. But he's got a ton of charisma. I'm sure they would be able to find a role for him, no problem. And if he needed somebody to put in a good word for him, I mean, he and Cody are pretty tight. I'm sure Cody could put a good reference in for him. I think it's only a matter of time, And look, I don't want to make it sound like this is all Tony Khan's fault and he did nothing with Ricky Starks. You can't say that Tony Khan did nothing with Ricky Starks. He had a run with the FTW title when he was part of Team Taz. He briefly feuded with CM Punk. He actually pinned Punk to win the Owen Hart Cup last year. He won the tag team titles with Big Bill. Now, you could quibble about the way that he was used and how they could have done more with him. I'm sure he would argue the same thing. But you can't say that Tony Khan didn't do anything with him. He's talented enough, though, that he shouldn't be sitting on the sidelines wondering, why am I not on TV? Why am I collecting a paycheck and not actually working? Ricky is someone who I actually think would benefit greatly from an NXT run. NXT is a small pond. He'd be a big fish there. And I don't even mean physically. Like, they have plenty of guys that are physically bigger than he is. But I think on that show, he could make it his brand. You know, not unlike what it kind of seemed like maybe Punk was trying to do with him on Collision. So give him a run there for a while. Maybe hold the NXT championship, and then after a while, get him up to Raw or SmackDown. I think he would do well. The other update is Athena, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion for 526 days, appeared to injure her left leg during the Ring of Honor portion of the Collision taping this week. While wrestling Viva Van, there was a spot where Athena charged at her. Viva ducked and pulled the middle rope down. Athena took a bump through the ropes, landed on the floor. After that, she was limping, but she blasted Viva with a forearm and pinned her. And Viva initially kicked out, but then she stayed down for the second pin attempt, according to PW Insider. So that sounds like an audible got called. Maybe Athena told the ref, "Hey, I'm hurt." She couldn't put any weight on the leg after. She needed help to the back. She was hopping on one foot. That's all we know right now. It could be as simple as a rolled ankle or a sprained ankle, or it could be something far worse. Here's hoping it's minor. She and Ricky, though, they have something in common. Neither one of them can get FaceTime on AEW TV.